Hi guys, Adam from Dorset Bottega. This is part 2 in our how-to series of planting. This garden I started building probably 4 years ago. So with any garden I start with a rough hand-drawn design on paper. This one was fairly straightforward. We've got about 50 by 50 meter garden here. And what I wanted to do was separate the garden out into little pieces and with a beautiful circular main garden. So the center point is the original old antique urn and water feature underneath. And then over the last few years, I've just been cultivating. You've got pencil pines, Spartan pines, lily pillies, creepers, all sorts of different other conifers. So the backbone to any sort of ornamental classic garden is the greenery. So this garden looks beautiful all year, but then pops a few times, sometimes around Mother's Day, and then other times around spring, which is right where we are now. So it's a very staged process to get layers and layers, and it just takes time. So about 4 years in the making to get the heights that you see behind me. But what it does is it just gives me a beautiful framework to now start to build some layers and some color and some structure. Now that structure and layered color will only last beautifully up here in Brisbane for about a month. But I can tell you the smell, the bees, and that 1 month of real rare beauty in this hot climate is well worth the effort. With any beautiful garden space, the preparation is a huge difference to how the end result will be. So over the last 3 or 4 months, we've really been working with lots of organic matter going into these gardens. Apart from the organic matter, the extra soils, the fertilizers, this has also got micro sprayers through it and also a beautiful heavy cover of mulch always to keep that soil never too exposed and so it doesn't get too baked and all the goodness goes out of it. When you turn back in here, you pull back the mulch, you've got worms, there's beautiful little snails. We've now got green tree frogs living in the water feature. So I guess biologically, we've actually created a little micro environment to allow everything to thrive. So when I start to dig, there's no need for me to put any further organics and fertilizers into the soil because that prep has all been done over the last few months. So now the main thing is just to disrupt the roots as little as possible, put them in their new home, and then water everything in really well as we progress through the planting. The color palette is pinks, whites, and a little bit of peach. So I've been very strategic to put a lot of the taller stuff at the back, put some of the smaller ones at the front, and I've put them in clusters, but also broken the colors up. So once it's all fully in flower, you'll have a patchwork quilt of the 3 different shades. So what that will do is it will give you a beautiful feeling of naturalness, but with a little bit of extra human critiquing. That way, as you walk through the garden, sometimes subconsciously, you don't realize how or why you like it so much, but it's those little parts of detail, just the patchwork, stitching the plants together, looking at heights, looking at base volume, looking at which ones are in bud, which ones are in flower, how will they look next week and the week after. They're all the little things to consider as we progress through the planting. As you can see, I've just planted one here at the front. That's just to show everyone and make it a little bit easier for Carlin to capture the content. When we start to plant all of them, we'll start at the back and we'll work our way forward. So what's really important is when you're working in a bed, especially a bed with irrigation and lighting, always use your hands. Mark out the area you want the plant to go. Pull back the mulch with your hands till you get to natural ground. Check to make sure that there's no irrigation lines and no low voltage lighting cable. Just makes fix-ups less and makes things a little bit safer. Then make sure that you dig the hole a little bit larger than what's needed. Make sure that you don't upset the root system of the plant when you're removing the plastic pots that they came in. Gently in, then put back nice and loosely to start with all the fill or all the soil that you pulled out. Put it back around the plant. A nice firm finger touch. Don't start stamping on it and shoveling it. I really prefer dig the hole with the shovel, but as you put it in, use a more gentle approach with your hands. You can feel it. You can spin the plant around. You can see this pink one here. I've actually spun it so some of the arms and it's actually facing outwards. So as you walk past, it's almost greeting you. So all plants have a better side or a better face. So before you put it in and you put it in its final position, just make sure you've taken the few seconds to look at what's the best side and where am I mostly going to look at that plant from. These little things just make such a huge difference. And if you treat every single plant in say a 300 odd plant installation like that in the same way, the difference will be, it won't just be beautiful, it'll be really beautiful. So this is just those little small tweaks. So fingers around, nice, gentle, remulch, and then a really beautiful soft soak with the hose on very low, like a trickle. Now foxgloves don't like to carry too much water because they're very top heavy, obviously. If they're too moist and they're too, like you see some of these getting very tall, they will topple or they will snap. So gentle sprinkle is okay, but I prefer a small trickling hose at the root base so that the root system initially gets a really, really heavy water, but in a gentle way. Thanks for watching. This is going to be something that we're going to be doing more of, and we really want to create some really wonderful, simple content for all our how-to videos to come.